This conference will now be recorded.
Yes. Hello, everybody. This is Jim Marshall. This is the AnCan Foundation's Veteran Support Group for March the 3rd of 2026. And first of all, I would like to thank the sponsors who contribute financially to put this on. It is Novartis, Foundation Medicine, Telix, and Blue Earth Diagnostics. This is a group that meets to talk about the veterans' uh, benefits, healthcare, along with military retirement benefits, healthcare, and also I can venture over into federal civilian retirement plus the healthcare and the possible intersection of all three, and they can intersect with each other. And if you would like to contact us, then you can send an email to the AnCan Foundation at veterans@ancan.org. And or you can do it to captjim@ancan.org, and I would be happy to respond to you. So anyway, today, Hank, I think I'll skip over you in the thing because yours is going to be quite an involved situation. So Israel, how about an update? Because I don't think we've seen you in a while.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just been traveling a lot and just dealing with some stuff, but good to be back. Couple of things. One is I'm just still going through with my tinnitus hearing loss claim. Been going back and forth, and got a supplemental claim in, so I'm just kind of waiting to, for that to play out. Um, I did get recently diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, and I got a CPAP machine. So, and I understand that they're going to be changing the rules on sleep apnea. So I just don't know if there's anything I can do with that, or if there's like
Well,
maybe I can do like an initial claim or something, and then have a year to mess with it, or
well, actually, now refresh my memory. Are you essentially a Gulf War vet?
no. I'm in a Cold War. I you helped me out getting a health care because I had um, asbestos exposure in the
Okay,
paddock, so you were able to help me out there. But no, I was a Cold War vet. I was 84 to 88.
84 to 88. Now, sleep apnea, do you have a sleep study done?
Yeah, I got a sleep study done by both my private insurance and the VA, and they
Oh,
both
okay,
agreed.
good.
They both agreed that I had a severe sleep apnea.
Okay, and are they or did they give you any clue as to how they believed it was caused or something like that?
No, no, they
No.
didn't. No.
Okay, so what we'd have to do is the first challenge is what is the service connection? In other words, how do we blame
Yeah, the nexus.
or to figure out how to uh, or what to blame or in the service and then how to blame it and then to get essentially a medical doctor to agree with us.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to have to look back at sleep apnea and see all of the possible causes. Like, do you have any sinus problems?
No.
No. Okay. Um, that's about the only one I recall off of the top of my head. So I will have to look at that and figure out something, some approach.
Okay. I did file a letter of intent intent to file just to kind of save the date.
Oh,
Yeah, I
good.
did. Yeah, I did that about 2 weeks ago just to get that
Okay,
going. But
so we do have now. You said something about the tinnitus.
yes,
So, did you get awarded for that?
no, not yet. I'm still in the process.
Okay, at the same time, did you also apply for hearing?
Yeah, I did those two at the same time.
Okay, now there has been a change in how they handle because before they handled hearing as a separate, tinnitus as a separate, you could get 10 for hearing and 10 for tinnitus. Okay, now they have lumped the three into one category, which is max of 10.
Would that apply though with but that would be just for new claims, though, right? Because I applied this, I submitted this claim like a year ago, and I've been going back and forth and getting,
Oh, okay. So you still no. Um,
I think I'm grandfathered in, right, with the original.
as as long as you are putting in supplemental claims
Yeah, I have been.
within the 1 year of the ruling, they
Yep, I
would
have.
be broken apart. Now, the thing that I like to see, or if you do have tinnitus, true, it can be only 10, but tinnitus will also uh, can be used as presumptive for a number of other things like migraine headaches. So I don't know if you get
Yeah,
those, but
I have a lot of other secondary issues. I just need to get the tinnitus up. Now, one new
right.
piece of information. I went to the VA, and I had a hearing test with the VA, and they actually they gave me what do you call it? Hearing aids. They provided me hearing aids,
Okay,
which
but that was not as a part of a CNP exam, right?
no, that was just the medical.
Okay, because remember the VA healthcare side is autonomous to the other side, which then gives you benefits.
Right.
So the benefit side would probably schedule you with a contractor to do hearing tests. Now, they might accept the healthcare side hearing test, depending upon the age or the time that it's been passed. And so, okay, um,
Yeah, I just thought that was, that could only help. Then
sure,
my last update is just the VA healthcare. I want to thank you again for helping me get that because I'm fortunate that I have both, private healthcare, the Kaiser and the
right,
VA healthcare now, and I've been using them to kind of, bounce ideas and just
right.
things. Um, but I've been very happy with the VA healthcare. I mean, I was really impressed with all because I've been going to primary and eye care. I mean, just different
Right.
appointments, and they've been really good. I mean, you hear
Sure.
a lot of bad things about the VA, but I mean, so far I've been really pleasantly surprised. So just want to throw that.
Um, Now, I believe in the VA healthcare, you were awarded TERA, right?
Yes, sir.
TERA, which means free healthcare.
That's correct.
And so I take it that you've told Kaiser that you've got VA healthcare, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they both they kind of talking to each other now, and
Well,
they,
actually, from the Kaiser point of view, if there is uh, something that you are going to have to pay Kaiser, the VA gets billed. And the beautiful part is whatever the VA allows must be accepted as a final payment.
yeah,
So that gets real interesting, especially in the long term. Co-pays, if you have a CT scan, or there's some kind of a copay of uh, $50 or so. Hey, so far, and I don't think I've ever paid Kaiser absolutely anything except for drugs.
Yeah.
Okay, because
I
I
was
choose
originally,
to.
I was originally Kaiser and the hearing aids and stuff like that. And, they wanted, 3, 4, 5 grand or whatever at Kaiser.
Sure.
But the VA, I mean, they gave me hearing aids and at no cost. I mean, I was really, I
Well,
was like,
that is
I was
because
amazed.
of Terra
Yeah, I was pleasantly.
asbestos. Okay, Mr. Baker, you have your hand up.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys are mentioning um, what are you the secondary claims instead of, or what is that called? When you go back in and do a
Oh, that is a supplemental claim.
supplemental claim. What is
Yeah.
the difference between that and a normal claim?
Oh, okay. A normal, well, a claim goes in, okay, and so the claim gets processed. Okay, at the time that it then gets determined and you get the results. If you disagree with those results, you can ask for number one, a review. Okay. But the catch is in a review, it just says, look, I want somebody else to then review the existing claim. Okay. Which to me, I don't hardly ever say do a review because if the first person turned it down, the second person will probably, then you can get in with a higher review. In other words, the two people, I don't like them. Let's get a real heavyweight involved. Okay. The thing that I prefer to do, okay, after the first one is conceivably turned down, denied, you have 1 year to go back in with a supplemental claim where you can introduce additional information. Okay. Now, your intent to file date remains as the original intent to file. So you could be a year and a half and finally get it straightened out. Like the guy I did who was the Fort Knox guy to Fort Meyer prostate cancer trichloroethylene. Okay. The first time that we put in his claim, he got awarded Terra because they conceded that he was exposed to trichloroethylene at Fort Knox, but they denied his prostate cancer because we did not have a doctor create a nexus letter. Okay, so I think we took about 2.5 months to get all of the information, found a doctor who agreed with us, and in fact, he found more stuff, and we put in, it was probably in the time frame, it was a little over a year, okay, after the intent to file, submitted the supplemental claim, and it took about 3 months to process it, and it was awarded. So he had like 13 months back pay. So he got a nice big fat check.
Yeah.
And he isn't going to be done with his treatment until June of this year. So it's a supplemental claim, and it's on a different form. It's on form 20-0995. So it isn't over until the fat lady sings.
All
Okay?
right. Thank you.
Bob Schwartz.
Yeah, two questions, Captain Jim. Number
Yeah.
one, how come you said you didn't get your prescription drugs through the VA?
Well, because of the cost at Kaiser, trying to get well, I will pay not to be aggravated. So if the amount I would like, I zipped over Monday to get drugs. I think the copay was, I believe, $8 for the one drug and copay of 10 for the other one. Otherwise, I would somehow have to get the prescriptions to the VA over in Washington, D.C., and figure out the protocol for doing that. And then they would have to, well, I would have to drive over there to pick them up, or they could possibly mail them. And so just the aggravation where I can actually almost, well, I can't now, but before I could walk to Kaiser from my house and pick the stuff up and walk back. So it was like exercise, and I get my drugs, and it only cost me anyway $18. So
All right.
it is an option available, though.
Okay.
And if it becomes like if it was $1,000, now that I might change my tune and whistle a different Dixie. Okay.
All right. Second question. As soon as you get VA benefits, you're supposed to tell your private insurer that you're on VA?
Well, it depends. It depends on, no, you said VA benefits. What I think you meant to say was VA healthcare.
That's it. VA healthcare. I'm sorry.
Right. Remember, the VA's got the healthcare side, then and with the benefit side, and the cemeteries. Okay, in the end. So it depends. Generally, if you're 10, 20, or 0, 10, 20, 30, or 40, you only get free health care for what you have a disability for.
Right.
Unless, like some folks can get now, they can be 10, but they get awarded TARA, toxic exposure risk activity. Once you get toxic exposure risk activity, you got 100% free health care, even though you're only 10. Or if you can, either way, get to 50. Once you get to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, now you're entitled to 100% free health care. So I suggest if you've got TARA or you are 50% or more, notify your private health insurance that you've got VA.
Now, do they work it out with the VA? You don't have to have anything more to do with the, like,
You don't have to do anything at all. Once you inform them, then any out-of-pocket expense must be billed to the VA, and whatever they allow must be accepted as final payment. I went over to Hopkins, right?
Mhm.
Johns Hopkins, and I saw a doctor, specialist. Her bill was like $620, and the VA paid $380, which I thought was fair. Then I
Yes.
had 5 blood tests. The VA, or Hopkins, billed the VA $380 for each blood test. The VA paid for each blood test $10.59. Final payment.
Sounds like my insurance company.
Right. So that's what happens with that. So as I said, that's how come I like to see veterans, even if they've got private health care, to sign up for VA health care, get and be active in the system, meaning you have a primary care doctor which you intend not to use unless you absolutely have to, and you check in with that doctor. I think it's once at least every 14 or 15 months. Generally, it's checking in once a year and just say hi, update them, you know, and you're good. You are
Yeah, what I
in the
was going to do,
system.
I was going to go up to the VA hospital in Tampa next week and try and get my VA card. I haven't
Okay.
got that yet. So I want to do that. And I was going to see if I get a primary care, a cardiologist, and a GU if
Well,
they have one.
well,
And also,
actually, here, at the time I get to you, he will run down how that goes. Okay, Israel,
okay, thank you.
are you all
Yeah,
straight
I'm all done.
now?
Yeah, I'm all done. I just want to give another shout out to you, Captain Jim, for helping me get the health insurance with Tara.
Oh,
It's going
yeah.
a lot with it. Thank you so much.
Okay, now we need to look at money wise and we benefit side. Okay, the health care is in place. Okay, Bob. Okay,
No, that was just me with my computer glitches. My fingers hit the wrong
right.
key.
No,
That's all.
no, fine. You're up now. Okay. So, okay, the thing that you'll do is to go into the hospital and it'll probably be right around the front entrance of it, and just there's probably some kind of information desk there, and say that you need to get the ID card, okay? And they will refer you to a group, office, and the thing they'll do is to ask you for your DD 214. So
Got
I
that.
would bring it along, or ID, and the last four of your social security number. And what they'll do is to take your picture, and that information is now sent to Austin, Texas. That
Okay.
was a change that the new VA head did. Before this, all of that equipment had to be in all of the hospitals, the printer and all the stock for the ID cards and all of that stuff. You have to track it. It's a bureaucratic nightmare. Now, somehow they transmit your stuff electronically to Austin, Texas, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, and your card arrives within the mail now.
Okay.
So they streamline that. Now, at the same time you're there, I would ask the person, say, look, I need to have a primary care doctor assigned to me. And I know here, let's see, at the Washington, D.C. hospital, there is the red team, green team, blue team, and yellow team, and I got assigned to the yellow team. So at that point in time, of course, at that point in time, I had the ID card, okay? And so all I did was to walk down to the clinic, and I said, look, I need to schedule the appointment with the primary care doctor. And the first one's going to take you, it could take you a week, it could take you a month and a half, okay, depending upon the load. So at the time that you go in on the meet and greet, then you bring in your medical history and stuff, and they will enter all of this info. I think I was in there like 45 minutes or so, and they will enter everything. And then at that point, I then ask them, I need a referral to the oncology folks.
Referral.
Okay.
Referral, okay.
Right. And so anytime that you, on the first time to get a referral, you've got to go through the primary care doctor.
Okay.
And that can be a very easy, after you're in there and the doctor's assigned, then you will explore the wonders of My Healthy Vet, okay, which is the online uh, electronic health records system,
Okay.
like equivalent to the civilian MyChart, right? Have you used MyChart,
No,
Bob?
no, I haven't.
Have you used any electronic health records system?
Yeah, my doctor has a portal system, yes.
Okay, well, My Healthy Vet is the same thing, and in that is a secure email system. But the primary, so in the beginning, the only person that you can send things to will be the primary care doctor unless they authorize you to, or they add the different clinics, and they might ask you, what clinics would you like to be associated with? And you'll say, look, okay, I want urology, oncology, dermatology, gastroenterology, and that is also in the trade known as giving you the blue button. Okay, you will hear the term. I think everybody has heard the term, the blue button. No? Yes?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, in the VA thing, that is, around here they call it the blue button. So I don't know why it's blue. And so that will give you the ability to sign on at home to, well, actually, you sign on to www.va.gov, right? And in the upper right-hand corner, there is a thing you'll see, My Healthy Vet. You click on that, and that will take you out of the benefit system over into the healthcare system. And it has all of the features that other electronic health things have, access to your test, and your visit notes and all of that stuff. Okay?
So everything goes through your primary care first before you see the specialist.
Yes, until you get to that specialist, and then you can deal directly with them.
Now, let me ask you this also, with the primary care, would he be the one or she be the one to schedule you for community care if you needed it?
Well, it depends. It depends on, it's generally the clinic that agrees that they cannot handle you. Like, okay, let's say, like,
Let's go with dentistry. Let's go with dentistry.
example, okay, I went into well, out of Kaiser. Kaiser does not have a prostate cancer specialist. Okay. So I went to the VA and I said, look, I need a referral into oncology. Fine. Okay. Okay. I get it. And it took like a week and a half. And I'm in there. I sit down with the doctor, an old guy. And so I explain the stuff I got. He said, oh, I can handle that. I said, well, are you a genitourinary medical type? No, but I've done a lot of these things. Okay, fine. So I did not argue because I was not prepared for that. So I went home. I scheduled another appointment with him, and then because of my heart issues, the current drugs that I had been taking, which now I'm not taking, but probably eventually will have to resume them, I went in and did all of the research on those drugs, and both drugs have these warning. If you have heart problems, you should seriously consider not taking these drugs. So I then presented that information to him, and he looked at it and he said, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that." And so I said, "Well, I know of a doctor who can handle this at Johns Hopkins." So just so happens here, they have a community care agreement with them, a blanket one, a big one. So it was his job then to create the paperwork, and it's about 3 or 4 pages that will authorize me to go over to Hopkins. I think I've got 999 visits, 999 lab tests, 999 scans. I mean, it was like, okay. And so it is in the clinic that is going to refer you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But
Thank you so much, Captain Jim. And I'd like to echo what Israel said. Thank you, because you got me Tara too.
yeah,
So I'm very
well,
fortunate.
actually, I'm not quite done with you yet. Okay. So the thing that you need to do is have a reason. Now, another reason why a person can get community care, let's say that you try to get the appointment as well, we can't handle you for 65 days. Well, no, you can then, of course, you can say, oh, okay, no problem. Or if you complain, I'm not quite sure if it's 28 days or 40 days. Does possibly anybody know? What's the, okay, I need to look that up afterwards, but you can then insist upon community care. Of course, now, once you insist upon it, you should have a doctor in mind.
Yes.
That you were, and also have checked out prior to that if the doctor will accept whatever the VA allows to pay them.
Okay.
Okay.
Does
So
distance factor into it too?
what?
Does distance factor into it? Like the distance you would travel from your place?
There is some distance. Yes, there is a whole criteria. Like if you were like 75 miles away from the facility, then you could probably get community care for probably everything.
Okay.
Okay. And now the thing I'm also finding out real fast is your community care provider in the VA may not be sharing your information. So what I was told to do at the time I checked in with the VA cancer doctor, he told me that I was responsible for keeping the VA updated. I went, oh, okay. So I would email him and attach things, to it and ask him to then enter those, okay, into my files. Okay. Eric, a question. You are muted.
Eric, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That took about 4 clicks. So I've actually been seen by the VA one time, my
Okay.
first initial visit, and I guess maybe I did it all backwards. I had all my specialists already. You know, I have my um, oncologist, my urologist, all these specialties, and he actually at the end of it said, "Yeah, yeah, just keep going seeing all those people." Is
Now,
that
is
the
this
green light? Yeah,
private
those are all
or,
private.
well, true. I mean, it's your choice.
Okay.
It's
But I didn't
your,
know if that meant that he gave me the green light to go to community and or not. I didn't know what that if that
well,
meant.
actually, it depends. Okay. Like the thing where I went to the VA to get, in essence, a second opinion. Okay. And it turned out that uh, they actually agreed with my other private doctor, which was the wrong answer. Of course, I knew the right answer before I happened to walk in there. That's how come I requested community care. Now, if you might be able to engineer this, if you have a private provider that you like, you need to find out if they would accept community care if you got it versus your private health insurance.
Okay.
And then if you could go to the VA and somehow convince them to put you into community care with that private provider, then the VA is going to pay for everything. But you have to have a reason for that. Like, this is a specialist that, you know, the VA doesn't have, or there's a distance aspect or something.
So is that distance 75 miles, you think, or
No, I think it's actually less than that. I will have to look
okay.
that up. Somebody did, I got a poster out of somebody about 2 years ago. Rick uh, Davis found it someplace, and I forget who it was. I think it was Bing Crosby.
The Bing or Ben?
Michael Bing Crosby. He is a Navy jet jockey pilot, and
Oh, wow.
his handle was Bing. So I will have to look that up here. Okay, so that now. Okay, is that it, Eric? Okay, Bob, I have something for you because you inform me now that you are 100% permanent and total now, right?
No, no, sir. They didn't give me that. They gave me Tara, but they didn't give me 100% total and permanent. No.
Okay. Okay, excuse me. I thought you were 100% permanent and total.
I am, but they just haven't recognized it yet. That's all.
How do you mean recognized it?
In other words, they haven't awarded it to me. They awarded me Tara, but they only gave me 60% for my prostate. They didn't give me anything else.
So wait. They only gave you 60% when you're still under treatment?
Yes, I can't understand. I'm appealing it now.
Well, actually, stay tuned because Hank over here, I don't know if he happened to go through the same thing, but Richard Beal did the same thing. And so are you going to address that, or how are you going to, or are you happy with the 60%?
No, I'm going to appeal.
Okay.
I'm going to appeal it.
So, no, well, appeal it means something whole different. The appeal process is a whole legal thing. The
What was
thing
that
that
other thing you said to do? The other thing where
I
you
think, or I would recommend, is you go back in with a supplemental
That's
claim.
what I mean. I'm sorry. I misspoke, Cap. Yeah, I'm going to do a supplemental one.
Okay, because appeal is like appeal. We go to appeal, you know.
Bad choice of words on my part. I apologize.
Okay, well then, because the point I was going to bring up, and I'll bring it up for the thing of all, okay, anybody who is 100% permanent and total, who is not a military retiree, okay? If you're 100% permanent and total, you are entitled to a real military ID card. Just like the ID cards I get, Hank gets, etc., Mark gets, with one exception. On the back of it, it doesn't say that you are then entitled to health care, military health care, but it's the exact same ID card, which then allows you access using that ID card just straight into the bases. Of course, you can get access to the military bases with your VA ID card if you've got service connected on it.
Correct. And your spouse gets it too.
Yes. Now, Mark, I got a question for you on that. Do you know if she gets some kind of ID card, and if she does, from who? The base
The
or
basis. She was side by side with me when we did all the paperwork and everything else
okay.
with my permanent and total and my DD 214 and my.
Oh, okay. So as far as 100% permanent and total, so did you get the military ID card?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yes,
but
I did. So did
then
she.
I don't recall. Are you retired out of the Navy? No.
Nope.
Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, so you got the military ID card and she got the military dependent card, but without the health care available on the back of the card.
That's correct.
And just be aware, anybody, that if you go to a base and they look at you with a dim and evil eye, it's not well understood. And in fact, I was helping out a lady whose husband had died a number of years prior. She didn't know all of this. She didn't know anything about the DIC or any of that. And we stepped her through the process. And I took her over to Fort Myer and I went in with her and we had to have some discussions with the clerks because the clerks were going, we don't know anything about this. And so I escalated it to her boss and her boss's boss. And I was polite and everything else. And indeed, it is true. So it's really an interesting perk.
And one of the things is with that card, when you go on the base, they have the gun now,
Yes.
sort of like at the grocery store. So all you do is you show them the card, they click it and they look at it and immediately it shows up and they say, thank you, have a good day, and on you go.
Right. There's a computer system and a database, okay, on the base of the people that access the base.
That's correct. You're entitled to go wherever, just
Right.
like in the military.
Just like in the military. Okay. Okay, Cosley. Hey,
Yes, sir. Good
guy,
evening,
I see you
everyone.
in there. Good. Are you going to be asking any questions?
I will not. I'm just listening and being
Okay,
educated.
and also Dan. because Dan came in the middle of some stuff. I was just curious.
Yeah, in terms of my case, I haven't got a date for my CMP.
Okay.
And so what I did, my back was out, and
Okay.
so I had my wife take a video of me trying to stand up.
Uh-huh.
And I was wondering, should I take that along with me? Will they view that, or will they put
Well,
in
yeah,
credence?
you can try, but then I would, well, is it like essentially a one-time event, or is it something that happens all the time?
It doesn't happen all the time, but it's not one time.
Well, a one-time event, I don't know, but sure, I mean, it
Yeah.
can't hurt.
Yeah, because like you were saying, like lift your legs and bend over. My problem is I can sit down okay, but I can't get up.
Well, then I
Yeah.
would hit down, and then I would struggle and moan and groan
Okay.
and
Okay.
do.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So right now we're waiting for that.
Okay.
And then after that, if I've not awarded anything, we do a supplemental.
Yes.
Okay, because I
He
found all the
will try to
documentation.
engineer something.
Yeah, because I found all the documentations finally. I found the surgery report. I found the autopsy report. I found the radiation reports, all of it. You know, I have that. So I have that. So I just hold on to that until after.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Although you said autopsy report, hopefully
Hey,
it
no,
isn't
no, no,
for
no.
you.
Biopsy report.
That's what I thought I heard.
I was
Okay.
saying he looks pretty good for an autopsy report.
Okay. Okay. Now we go to Hank. It just so happens, everyone, Hank was just awarded 100% permanent and total. He earned it. Yeah, for his.
Can we have some backup on Hank, like how long it's been and kind of a little synopsis here for,
Yeah, Hank,
for the people that are coming on.
A Navy guy, a fellow Navy.
Right. Yeah. So I filed my intent to file on the 19th of February, 2025. So a little over a year ago. I then actually delayed submitting the claim paperwork until October. Just as I was getting my ducks in a row with paperwork from my doc and getting the right letters, and Jim did me the great service of reviewing how I had stuff written up and staging things correctly. So I didn't actually submit the actual claim until October. Then I went through this kind of, and I think mine was pretty cut and dried. I mean, I'm metastatic now, you know, so, and I'm PACT Act eligible. I was Persian Gulf PACT Act eligible. So there wasn't really a whole lot to review. I went through a little bit of a spin cycle with VA though, because in November, they sent me to a doc for a, to get looked over. And what they were interested in was the scar length from when I had my radical prostatectomy back in 2017. I thought that was really weird because that had like nothing to do with the fact that I'm metastatic now. And I had the surgery done robotically. So it was just like 5 little puncture marks, and you can't even see 3 of the 5 scars anymore. Couldn't ever figure that out with VA, why they were so interested in that. Then in January, they sent me back to another doc to get my scars measured again. So now I'm getting a little nervous about why are they so fixated on the scars? I don't really know. Never did find that out. Jim gave me some really good coaching, because each time I went to a doc visit, that gave me an opportunity to hand to the doc the letter from my oncologist saying that I was metastatic. which then opened the door for me to send another form into VA saying, oh, by the way, to remind you one more time, I'm metastatic. So they got that message from me like 3 times in the filing process. So when push comes to shove, after that second doc visit, rather quickly after that, I got the 100 permanent and total rating. As an aside, the Leidos people who were scheduling these doctor visits for me, they were terrific. That went really well. Got an automatic travel claim filed by them for going to the docs, which I was totally not expecting. So that, Mark, that's kind of the background story, right? So took right around a year from beginning to end to get the whole thing done. Took my time with putting the story together, and it worked out very well.
Yeah, okay. And
the question I raised with Jim offline, and he suggested that I bring it up here. So, of course, I'm Navy retiree, so I have been getting retirement pay, but as soon as I got the 100p permanent total, VA behind the scenes goes to Navy, and they do a handshake, which actually gets me what's called concurrent retirement and disability pay, CRDP, which allows me to get my retirement pay value plus the VA benefit.
right.
But I've been paying into survivor benefit plan for my wife since I retired. Yep. And I'm on payment like 281 of 360. And I have not been able to find any place that says that now that I'm CRDP, that the survivor benefit plan benefits that I've been paying into remain intact. And so I'm very curious to make sure that that doesn't somehow get upended along the way.
Oh, no. Now, the thing that happened, that is concurrent retirement and disability pension. And okay, prior to CRDP, you then either had to select the VA money or the retirement money. You couldn't have them both. So in some, and I forget the year that it was in, everybody thought that was unfair. So they came up with a sort of a compromise. And it said that if you are 10, 20, 30, or 40, any money you get out of the VA will be deducted from your military retirement check. But once you get to 50, your military retirement check will be now converted to a thing called concurrent retirement disability pension, and you get to keep them both. Okay? Now, nothing actually changes as far as the SBP goes. Okay? Your deduction will still come out of the CRDP money. And one thing I just found out going into this, and thank you AI for giving me conflicting information until I had to dig deeper into this. Okay, the intersection between SBP and DIC. Okay, in other words, at the time we die, okay, it can be very well that the wife or the spouse is entitled to a pension out of the VA. And come to find out that up until June of 2023, it turned out that if you got the DIC money it would be subtracted from your SBP money if the SBP was greater than the DIC. If it was less, then you just got VA money. But as of June of 2023, that's no longer true. Your wife or your spouse gets them both. Yes. Okay, now, the thing that, so it isn't a choice, because I was under the impression that the person had to choose one or the other, and that is incorrect. And I stand corrected, even though if you use Mr. Google, you can get conflicting stories. But then I went to the DFAS site and they explained it very well, and it will, and I'm going to put it into next week's reminder. So it's clearly stated there. Now, just
Jim,
something, what?
if you found a spot in the DFAS website that you thought was clear, could you put that into the article
Well,
too? Because I've
actually,
been all over that
concerning,
website and
well, concerning the interaction of SBP and DIC.
okay.
Okay, that was the thing. But as far as the SBP goes, now there is, I think you also ask a question of what kind of other benefits could you be entitled to, and full disclosure here, Hank and I and a few others are in Virginia. This you should check through your state. But in Virginia, if you are 100% or in, depending upon the city and the county, city or county, because there are, like Alexandria City is city, but Arlington is a county. Practically all of them have it so that if you are 100% permanent and total, you are exempt from property taxes, which around here will take your breath away. Okay. And also at the time you die, it will pass to your spouse, which is good. Now, how do you prove this to them? Okay. The thing well, you could take them the VA determination statement that has all of the stuff about all the VA codes and all that stuff, and hopefully they can read that. Or you can just sign on to www.va.gov. Okay. Once you're on it, click on your name, which it took me about 3 or 4 different times to figure this out. And there's a pull down that comes down out of there. And there are things on it like profile, my VA, and letters. Click on letters and it will present you a list of these. And the first one in the thing is a benefit summary. It's a 1-pager that will, and it's looks very, very professional. I mean, hey, I was impressed. And there is a line item that says, is this person 100% permanent and total? And out to the right, it'll say yes, and the as of date. Now, that as of date may not seem important now, but it will be shortly. So that is a great letter to print off to take to the tax office. Okay, you're in Springfield, you'd have to go to Fairfax, right?
Yeah.
Fairfax County is notorious for taking months, and you take along a DD 214 and that statement from the VA, and I don't know how far back they may issue a refund. I'm not quite sure. I went to Alexandria City and they did it in about an hour, which was
So
interesting.
speaking of that, and to Mark's prompt a little bit ago to talk about background, um, one of the things that really surprised me when my claim got settled, so my date for intent to file was the 19th of February 2025. When VA made their decision, apparently the way the law currently reads is the effective date of my disability was 1 year prior to my intent to file date. So the back pay actually went all the way back to February of 2024, which
Yes.
I was not anticipating at all. So for everyone else who's hearing Jim and others encourage, get the intent to file in, holy smokes, that made a big difference.
Oh, yeah, because you got close to 2 years back pay. Now, that
23
was
months.
triggered, and I've been trying to figure out this one. It has something to do with if you do the intent to file in the year that there is a law change, then what happens is they then backdate it a previous year. Now, the thing I haven't been able to find out is what law changed to invoke that rule. But apparently there was some law that must have changed that invoked that, because I've seen it on somebody else also had one in.
I'll send you my whole. I thought I had, but if not, I'll send you my whole decision letter. It has,
Oh, okay.
it's 25 pages long, so it might be buried in there somewhere.
Well, all I need happens to be the one that starts with a logo. Okay, there's a logo and it goes, the prior stuff has something about the funding, the dates, okay, and the disability amounts and the amount they paid, withheld, et cetera, et cetera. So that was good.
The other question that I had, Jim, real
Yeah.
quick, is if I decide to try the application for the combat related special
Oh, now,
compensation.
wait. Let's hold on to that one
Okay.
until, now, another thing that they'll do at the tax office is to have you exempted of the taxes of one car. And you generally pick the one with the highest taxes. Then in Virginia, for folks who are in Virginia, also I found out that if you buy a car, you pay state sales taxes. You can get a refund of that, and it's like 5.5%. So if you're out there buying a Tesla at $150,000, 5.5% is a little bit of change. So that's quite an interesting thing to have done. Okay. Now, for any of you that are 100% permanent and total, then it begs you to consider of, are your disabilities considered combat related? And the interesting part, you didn't even have to go into combat to get combat injuries. Okay, believe it or not, because there are 4 separate criterias that are that make your disability combat related. The first one is you were actually had boots on the ground in a combat zone. Okay? That's cool. The next one is you were training for combat. If your job entails or what you did, you got injured training for combat, that is combat related. Now, this is for the folks who have retired out of the military. If you're not retired, this doesn't apply to you. Okay? Then there is if you had a occupation which is considered to be hazardous, like airborne, EOD, uh, chemical, etc., etc. Any disability caused by any of that associated thing is combat related, technically. Okay. And the last one is you were injured by an instrument of war. I had a guy that we just happened to stick in a claim, fell off of a 5-ton truck. He was attempting to put, I believe, a camouflage canvas over it, and somehow he fell off of a 5-ton truck. That's a combat related injury. Okay? Now, the gist of this says that you can apply to the secretary of your service. So the Navy would be the Secretary of the Navy, Air Force, Secretary of the Air Force, the Army, etc. The Marines have to apply to the Navy, which I think is interesting. Okay, so the thing that happens is in the paperwork that you fill out, and it's quite easy to do, you then take each of the disabilities and you answer a number of questions like, what is it? Um, um, the disability rating initially assigned by the VA, the final rating. What was the cause of this? You know, either combat related, instrument of war, hazardous thing, etc. Then unit assigned at the time, location, and then you basically describe what happened. Okay? And you do that for each of your disabilities because each one must be evaluated separately. So it's easy for me because I only had one stage 4 prostate cancer, Agent Orange, Vietnam, etc., etc. So it was like a piece of cake. I just did a guy with 12 of them. He had psoriasis. He had a bum shoulder. You know, he got hurt in training. Yeah. So it was quite extensive to explain all of these to convince them. Now, the thing that happens, off it goes, and it goes to a special office, and they evaluate you and figure out what of your disabilities or agree with you that they are, hopefully you're 100% combat. Then they figure out how much you would get what is called combat related service compensation. Okay, and it's coming out of a trust fund in the DoD world. So it's a separate pot of gold, and it gets funded every year with the provision that if it doesn't get funded, you will revert automatically back to CRDP. Do not pass go. Okay. So that amount is then calculated and it is compared against what you get today. Okay. And if it is equal or greater, by default, you get switched automatically. Okay. If it's less than the amount, even by $1, they will by default not move you, but they notify you of the results. Like, let's say you get $4,500 a month CRDP and CRSC is $4,490. Okay. By default, they would select the greater of the two amount, but in the notification letter, they would explain to you the two amounts and say, if you disagree with our choice, fill out the enclosed form and send it in. And you'd say, look, I want the CRSC anyway. Okay. Understanding that it is $10 less, but there's no taxes on it. It never gets reported to the IRS. It's never used in your modified adjusted gross income, which determines Medicare premiums, etc. Now, the only catch that you have to be careful about is that in your military retirement CRDP, do you have any allotments coming out? Now, SBP, no problem. That can be deducted out of CRSC. But let's say that you're paying your house payment or your home insurance or out of that CRDP. You cannot have allotments out of CRSC. They would automatically stop. So you have to be aware of that. I didn't have things, only thing I had was the SBP, although at the time I did it, they didn't even deduct SBP. I had to go through hoops and hurdle. I had to pay it off. So anyway, so that's the story about CRSC. So it
So if I
is
would,
almost a no-brainer to give it a shot and see how much you'd get.
right, because filing the application doesn't automatically trigger it. There's a decision.
Unless the two amounts are equal or the CRSC is greater, and naturally you'll say, hey, I love it.
Yeah. But then I do have to be attentive to making sure the SBP is still coming out.
Well, SBP now is automatic.
It is.
It is
Okay, so
automatic.
okay. That was,
Okay. And the SBP comes out and yeah, it's still, well, it's pre-tax, it's no tax. Now, the thing that can happen over time, the thing is, I found out, I did this in 2018, okay? What has happened because of the COLAs, the adjustment, right now my CRDP is about $320 greater than the CRSC, although they started out equal back in 2018. So, but still, the $320, who cares? Because the taxes I would have to pay on the military retirement is a lot greater.
got it. I appreciate that. I had been reading that there was this open season to decide whether or not you wanted to do CDRP or
Oh,
CSRC, and I couldn't figure out why there would
oh,
even be that,
oh,
but you've
oh.
explained it.
Now, after you're in it, yes, indeed, there is come in either October, November, December, they will send you how much you will be getting and a form that says, if you would like to switch back, complete the form, send it in. But I don't know of anybody in there. Well, actually, I knew a colonel that he was getting like $6,900 a month CRDP, and his CRSC was like 5,200. So there was like a $1,500 a month difference. So at the time he figured up his taxes, he didn't accept CRSC. So that's how that game is played.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, as far as filling out the forms, I take it you would only have one to claim, right? Okay, it's easy. The form is like a either 3 or 4 page form, and it is a DD 2860. Okay, and the thing you'll find on it, if you try to do it online, there are some of the blocks that you try to stick in an X for no or yes, and they don't accept it. Now, I think it's either on page 2 or I think it's on page 3 is the thing about what you are going to claim, and it then asks you the questions, about the VA initial rating thing, okay, and the date, the final rating and the date, okay, the unit assigned. So for you, I would put in the ship that you were on over there in the Gulf. Yours is going to be the Gulf War. And there's a little bit of the narrative that you can fill in. And now for the guy that was like, I had to do 12 of them, I didn't reproduce that page 12 times because it was a bear to update. I made a Word page that looked like it and just repeated it 11 times, and I did it in Word. Then also, you will need a DD-214, and they ask for a copy of your retirement orders. Hopefully you have those.
Probably somewhere.
Right. Now, I often thought if you don't have those, I would put in, because somehow they are trying to get you to prove that you're actually military retired, I would probably put in a DFAS pay statement if you didn't have that. Luckily, I did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have those.
Because back when Mark and I joined, they told us to keep every friggin' piece of paper that they ever give you. Right? And I did, all the way through to government. Hey,
I'm a graduate of the Captain Jim School of Form Slaying, so I have a pretty good idea how to do this, and that includes running it all by you before I send it in. So.
oh, yeah, that'll help. But although I will say on his claim, the picture of his ship was impressive, because in claims, I like to put ships or airplanes or howitzers or whatever it is in there to sort of entertain the adjudicator. because it must be a boring job trying to read these things. So,
Yep.
so
We had one of shooting tomahawks in the Red Sea. It was a good one.
yeah.
Oh, so you didn't have a flat roof on yours, huh? Well, that's not a ship, that's a boat. When you're on an aircraft carrier, you see one of those out there, you go, oh, look at that boat back there. That's a
Boats or
boat.
submarines, come on.
I understand that, but if it's smaller than a guy with a roof on it, it's a boat.
All right.
Okay. Sylvester, anyway, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, and I'm glad to see all of you guys here tonight, and I hope you're doing well also.
Oh, it's about 9:30. Does anybody have any questions in general?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, I'll try.
I remember I went to a commissary outside in Saratoga, and I
Okay.
had a card that let me in that. And does that I think this is the health card that under my picture says VA Healthcare Employee Service Connected.
Yes, that's it.
And so will that let me in on the base into commissaries?
Yep,
Okay.
that's
Because I
it.
thought we had two cards. Okay.
That is the card.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, anything else? Rick Davis, anyway, how are you doing, sir? Rick is the founder of the AnCan Foundation, and he occasionally drops in to check up on us.
I think everybody knows me in here.
Yes.
Nice to see you, Hank. Hank, we haven't seen you for a while. How are you? I'm just looking, everybody. Oh no, that guy in West Virginia, he doesn't know who that guy am. I don't know.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay. Our new swag.
Right.
And you can buy one for yourself too. If you want to buy one, let us know, because we've still got to get it on the in the shop, but we're sort of changing some stuff around. But it's we're very proud. They're very nice mugs, those AnCan mugs. So
Oh,
anybody
good.
wants an AnCan mug, let me know. I can't remember how much they are, but they are available. Yes,
Well, good.
they are
What?
available.
Why quantities last.
Oh, now we know. Now we know who to make the commercial for us.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Larry, you have your hand up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little confused about the two ID
Okay.
cards. I've got
Okay.
a VA card that says service connected, and they said that's
Right.
all I needed. But
Yes.
then the other people in the meeting I was in, they had two cards, and I think that's the second
Okay.
one you're talking about, and it says 100%. And so I'm going to ask about that when I go to the VA.
100%.
Yeah,
Um,
is that what you were talking about?
no, actually, if they're 100% permanent and total, they are entitled to a military ID card, but the military ID card doesn't say absolutely anything about the VA. It doesn't say anything about a disability, except on the back, it is absent the authorized health care in the military.
Yeah.
So
Well, it
no,
might be,
I don't know anything about a VA ID card that has 100% on it. I never
so
heard of that.
there might be three different cards floating around.
Well,
I'll
there
ask. Yeah.
could be, yes.
Yeah. I'll
There
ask at
could,
the VA office.
right. Now, another thing I want to clear up is I think everybody possibly have heard about the VA attempting to downgrade folks because if you have a disability and you're on meds and the meds happen to make you better, even though you've got the disability, then the VA could conceivably downgrade you because it isn't as serious as it could be. And this has caused a firestorm out there. And everybody believes the VA instigated this to try to save money. Okay. But if you actually look at what happened, the VA, I thought it was a masterful political move. Try to get it killed. What happened was that thinking has been, or people have thought that that's true. And apparently there was a claim filed and a person got downgraded based upon some kind of treatment they had that kind of made them feel better. Well, the case ended up in a federal district court, okay, outside of the VA. And the federal district court ruled that from now on, the VA had to do that. The VA adjudicators had to consider the effects of what drugs you were taking on the disability, and if the drugs made you feel better, then they had to downgrade you. So the VA looked at that and said, okay, the federal district court judge says we have to do that. We have to make a rule for it. So they made a rule that was very obvious what was going to happen. Well, all of the veterans group got their hands essentially on that rule. And sure enough, there was a firestorm. And because there was a firestorm politically, okay, all of the politicians wise withdrew it. So it isn't the fact that the VA instigated this, it was a federal judge. Okay, and I forget the case thing. It'll be in the next week's reminder. Okay. Because I've had some vets call, do you know what the VA is attempting to do? Those lousy SOBs. Oh my God. Oh, you know, well, no. So anyway.
Does Larry still have that question? Because this is what mine looks like.
Okay, that is
it looks like a DOD
old one.
Yeah.
That is the old one. Actually, at some point in time, you will have to be, or you should be upgraded to a new one. This is the new one.
Okay.
But,
the VA, is it? Go ahead.
Yeah,
now,
Jim, would you hold that up again?
Okay, this is the military one.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Okay, this is the military one, and on the back, right in here, that part shall be absent. It says, yeah, I have to read it. Medical, it says verify eligibility. Well, on a non-veteran 100% permanent and total, that isn't there at all.
So how did, so go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, guys, don't hang up, because there's something I do want to tell you when this discussion is over.
Oh, okay. Okay, so how do you get that card, Mike? You just go to the Pass and ID, because it was supposed to be that changeover was supposed to happen last year, but it's been postponed until 2027 or 2028. And I think I may have put that out in a reminder a number of months ago about the military ID card switchover has been postponed. So up until then, your card is still good. But at some point, it'll have to be upgraded. And in fact, I would get hers upgraded before you expire, because it'll make her job easier, because these cards for the uh, attendants now are, there is no expiration date on them.
Yeah, I have a Department of Defense uniform service, and mine says indefinitely.
Yeah,
So,
but that's as long as that card is recognized. But by 2027, that card's going to have to be converted to a new card.
and I do that where?
You go to the base and pass an
Okay.
ID.
Okay, good. Okay,
Okay.
thanks. Learn something new every day.
Yep.
That can be done at any time. You don't have to wait until that card is expired.
No,
Right.
no, you can do it anytime at
So,
all. And we,
so the next
but
time I go on the base, then I can go
yep,
do it. Okay,
yeah, just
thanks, Cosby.
go in there, and then hopefully the civilian DOD, at the time you explain to them that you're not a, well, I would also take in that letter from the VA that says you are 100% permanent and total. Yes,
Okay,
because that was something that the lady I took into the Pass an ID had to supply of his to say that he was 100% permanent and total.
okay. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have anything
I
to
have one
bring up?
quick question.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Okay. What's the form that you submit? So you go to a CMP, you have additional evidence that's not in your file that you submit the additional evidence?
Oh, that'll be a 21-4138. Now, are you talking about if you, at the time you go to a CNP exam and you give them evidence there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Then by law, at the time you leave, they must destroy it. They don't have a choice, HIPAA law.
Mm-hmm.
So I contend you go home and you fill out the 21-4138 form, and you say, "Dear VA, today I had a CNP exam and I saw so and so, so and so, and I gave them the following medical information," and then you include that on the back of the 40, or with the 4138. I think it's like a 2-page form or a 3-page at the most, and then you sign the form, or you print the form, sign the form, scan it all back in to your computer, sign on to the Access VA Quick Submit, and upload it into your file, and you have saved the day.
Okay.
So then when that CNP examiner's report gets to the adjudicator, your version of it will be there too, and hopefully that person reads the CNP examiners, reads your part, and hopefully they both jive.
Okay. All right, good.
So that's just a suggestion I have to make sure, because I've heard too many stories about, well, I told the CNP person all these things, and it seems like it was never considered, and you don't know why.
Right.
And when I was telling my story, when I had to go in for those 2 exams to measure scars, that 4138 is exactly what I used. And when I got my final, it showed up because they give you a listing of all evidence that they have considered. Those 4138 showed up in their list of evidence that
Yes.
they considered. So Jim's advice is very effective there.
Okay.
Okay, so let me tell you, you know, I'd like to get this on the recording today. So I'm going to air some dirty laundry because we are quite upset about this.
Okay, Rick, should I turn off the
No,
recording?
I want to get this on the recording.
Oh, on the recording. Oh, fine. Hey, for the record.
And I want it on the recording so those who listen to the recording, who are more than here, are aware of this. That's the reason I want it on the recording. In the past, our veterans' activities have been funded by Blue Earth Diagnostics, who make, amongst other things, one of the scanning agents for PSMA scans, and Johnson & Johnson. And then Johnson & Johnson wanted to fund our veterans. And they've given us extra money for a bunch of reasons, including the art supplies that we send out. Johnson & Johnson has taken sides in a dispute, which they told us they don't do and then promptly did it. And we're no longer receiving any funding from Johnson & Johnson, and we were getting $25,000 a year, which is a significant amount of money. It won't stop us providing any of the programming we're doing for veterans. We'll find a way to continue to do that. But I feel like Johnson & Johnson needs to hear that by taking sides the way they have, it hurts not just AnCan, it hurts our veterans, and it's improper, unprofessional, and very frustrating. The background is, and frankly, by telling our people this background a while back, this is what we got ourselves into trouble, but we're transparent. Why shouldn't we tell? This is all the truth. That the CEO of Zero, Bugler, I'm just blanking with a C. I'm blanking on Chauncey Bugler, whatever her first name is, has a personal LinkedIn page, as I do. AnCan has our own LinkedIn page, as does Zero. And one day I was looking at for some reason, something popped up on the LinkedIn feed, and I don't use a lot of social media. I never go on Facebook. I don't use Instagram. I finally saw our Instagram yesterday for the first time ever. But I do use, from time to time, I do use LinkedIn. And she had a post on there that said, that she makes $300,000 plus or minus a year, which is more than the total budget to run, well over the total budget to run AnCan. And she put a post on there excusing herself for not having done her job for the last 6 weeks because her best friend was dying and her best friend died. It's sad. It's sad. I can have compassion for that. But I can't have compassion for using it as an excuse not to do your job. Because if I use that excuse, I'd be out half the time. I mean, the number of people that we lose, sadly, at AnCan, who I'm close to and have developed relationships with, is huge. And when you're in this business, it comes with the territory. You can't be in a patient support business and have relationships with your patients and not expect to lose people. That's what happens. So I put a comment on there because I found her remark offensive, and it was on her personal email. It wasn't on, I wouldn't have done this on the AnCan, on her Zero email. I said, if you can't take the heat, you have to get out of the kitchen. And that upset a bunch of people, including her. And she came back and she slammed me and she slammed AnCan on her personal email. She had no business doing that on her personal email. If you use social media and you want to talk about yourself and you want to put your own issues out in the public, you have to expect that some people may not be empathetic. That's how it goes with social media. Not everybody's going to say, oh, poor thing, and what have you. And I found what she said inappropriate for a woman making $300,000 to run an organization, to run a prostate cancer advocacy organization. So I wrote it up. This was probably back in around September time. And about 2 or 3 weeks after I wrote it up, I got calls from all of our sponsors. We went back and forth a couple of times, but at the time, it didn't really matter, but we went back and forth because clearly she sees it one way and I see it another. And then it died off. And then I got calls from our sponsors. And I got reamed by 4 of our sponsors for making this post. And I said, look, this is social media. She didn't have to put it out there. This wasn't on the Zero post. This was on our own personal post. The fallout from all of this is that one sponsor has clearly dropped us. The others probably not. And the sponsor that's dropped us is Johnson & Johnson. And after telling us on 2 or 3 occasions that they didn't want to take sides, they wanted me, I should do this, I should do that, but they're not taking sides, make sure that what I write is the opinion of me, not the opinion of the sponsors. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, we did all of that. They told us on Friday morning, first of all, Johnson & Johnson called us to have a meeting to tell us also they weren't giving us any more money. So we said, fine, why are we having a meeting? This was a telephone meeting about 4 weeks ago. And then they said they wanted a meeting. And we said, well, what about the veterans? And where else can you get money for veterans? Within Johnson & Johnson, if you don't have the money, because they made up some cock and bull story that they don't have any money this year because they're not promoting apalutamide, Alida. And we said, hey, you're not promoting Alida. How come you just came out with this big announcement that Alida is a better drug based on real world evidence than Nubeqa, which they did at the beginning of February? And Bayer sued them last week, 2 weeks ago, with that claim. So I said, we said, look, you're pushing apalutamide. So we thought, well, maybe they'll find some money for the veterans. We met with them on Friday morning. No, they don't have any money for veterans. The only place that Johnson & Johnson gives money to veterans is for, what's it called? Fallen Warriors or something? What's the big charity?
Wounded Warriors.
Wounded Warriors. For Wounded Warriors, they can give money, but they can't give money to us. And then we pushed them some more, and what came out was they were pissed with us. And this was a major factor in why they're not giving us any more money. And they took 45 minutes of our time at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we got up early, got there. They didn't even have a bleeding cup of coffee for us to tell us that they're not funding us anymore. And we basically told them, well, then you can stick it with us on. When you're ready, call us up. So it upset me. Bill was with me, so I had a harness. I mean, Bill was there and he was great, and he talked about all the veteran stuff and what we're doing and how successful they are. They don't care. What they care is that they want to stay in Zero's good books. I couldn't tell you why. I don't know what's going on with between Bugler and these pharmaceutical companies, but they don't really care that Zero spends $6 or $7 million a year in salaries. Doesn't seem to make a difference, and they don't look for results. They're not asking them. We walked in there, we gave them a copy of our poster, we showed them what we were doing, we showed them how successful we are, and they basically said, yes, but you slammed Zero. And we said, we slammed Zero because Zero keeps slamming us in meetings, on social media. What are we supposed to do? Just keep eating it up and allow them to do that because we have a better product and they don't like that and they don't want us in the space? So, we're transparent, and hopefully some of these people like J&J will hear that they're transparent, and if J&J gets a black eye through all of this, that's just fine by us. Because to be the nice guy, which we tried being with J&J for 4 or 5 years, and they gave us nothing, and then finally it turned around. And when the 2 people who did give us money left, it turned back the other way again. And we're not going to kowtow to these sponsors. So that's the story that I wanted to tell you, and you can respond to it the way you will, but just know that we're not happy with J&J. Neither Pfizer, who told us we were too small last year and wouldn't give us money because we were too small, notwithstanding that in a LinkedIn post that I read this morning, they met with all the little and smaller nonprofits than us and said what great jobs they're doing. They didn't even reach out to talk to us. And that's been the problem. That's been a problem with Pfizer, and I don't know why, going back to probably 2016. 1 year, Pfizer gave us money. The year of COVID, they gave us $4,000, and that was it. So, my feeling is if they don't want to give us money, then people should know that these companies are not giving us money and respond to it as they will. So there you go. Somebody's got their hand up.
Okay, Bob.
Yeah, first of all, Rick, I'd like to thank you for being so forthright and coming on here and telling your story the way it is. And I appreciate hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. Let's say, exactly the way it is. The only other thing I'd have to say is a personal comment based on my experience in my former profession. Either they have a personal relationship with Zero or they have a financial relationship with Zero. these other companies that are donating money to them, because they seem to be turning based on their whim. And usually there's a connection, some type of nexus there where there has to be personally or financially connected. That's all I'm going to say and leave it at that, because I don't know anything. I'm just saying, based on my experience, people don't just fall in line like that unless there's some type of connection.
Well, I think Pfizer gives $40,000 a year to support, I think, to support zero support groups. They give us nothing. And zero support groups don't have the success numbers that we have. They may have more people, they may not have more people. I really don't know. I don't think they keep a record of their numbers. I don't know what the other connections are. I don't know what the other connections are, Bob. There was something else on my mind. I was going to tell you, and I forgot. I forgot what it was. It jogged my mind on something, and now I forgot what it was. But you know, Zero gets a whole heck of a lot of money from a lot of people, and they raise a lot of money from a lot of people, and nobody holds them to account. And you know, if you hold them up to the light, you don't see too much. Or should I say, you know, you don't see too much because they're not transparent, but you see everything because you see through them. And but the bigger thing is they don't perform for us. They don't give us what we need. They don't provide us. They're supposed to be our voice on the hill. They're not. They don't do it. And they probably spend $1 million a year just on that. Anyway, look, I'm boring all of you. I can see it. You're all falling asleep. It's
Israel, you have
Israel,
hand
go
raised.
ahead.
Yeah, hey Rick, I just had a suggestion. So, I mean, I don't know how AnCan and how you guys like try to get sponsors, or if you have like documentation or something to provide, but it might not hurt to, because I agree with Bob. I mean, in a previous job I had, I mean, I was a little bit familiar with the grants and stuff like that, and it is all about relationships and who you know, and it might not hurt to put an email blast out to all your members and just say, this is where we're at, and if you happen to know some, because I know you do an annual request for donations, stuff like that, but instead of doing that, I mean, you do that, but also a request for the contact information if they know somebody at one of these companies, because they may just happen to have a relative that works next door to the vice president. It just, you never know.
Yeah. So we're sort of covering everybody. There's a couple that we're not covering, but we're getting to them. You have to be really targeted. Just knowing somebody at a company, it just doesn't help you. That said, somebody's helping us to get back into Myriad right now because Myriad dropped us. So it can do, but yeah, we'll think about it, and then we've also got to be able to follow up if we do something like that. It's not just getting the lead, and we've got to have the bandwidth, and we've got to have the people who can talk the right talk to these people. So, we're pretty well connected. I mean, we should be with Lantheus right now, and we're not. And we've tried to make that happen. That's one. We should be with AstraZeneca, and we're not. Pfizer, I mean, I have a great relationship with a guy who used to run this area years ago when I first came into the space, but it doesn't help me at all now. Last year he connected me. Last year I met with them. They told us to come back and give us a proposal. They never got back to us, and we wrote and said, well, what's going on, Pfizer? And they said, oh, sorry, all the money's been given away. So basically, it's lip service, so they can say they met with us, but they never planned to give us any money last year. They didn't plan to give us any money this year. Do they give money for that stupid conference at the Villages in in Florida that gets 180 people. Yeah, they give money to that every year, probably a decent amount. We get more people in a week than they get in their single event. But we're too small.
Rick, I sent you a note in the chat to take a look at before you log off.
It's a nice idea, but the insurance companies, I have never seen an insurance company funding a patient advocacy organization for any disease. Just haven't seen it. I don't think they have money for it. It's a nice idea, but they don't. The insurance companies, they don't like us. They don't want us.
Right.
Because all we're doing is advocating for them to spend more money, not less.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're saying to a Hank Zajic, Hank, you should be getting this drug, that drug, or the other drug, this service, that service, or the other service. They don't want that. They want us to be saying, yeah, you know, if they turn you down, that's fine. They don't want you to come to us and say, how do I advocate for myself to get my payer, to turn my payer around? Now, there may be other, no question, there may be other. I'll give you an example. We just got a large donation out of the blue from somebody we helped. And he barely had any experience with us, and we got a large donation. He's a former executive of a household name consumer goods country, food. This gent is now he's retired from the company, and he chairs a gambling company. And it turns out that that gambling company is a major contributor to PCUK. Now, PCUK is is the largest prostate cancer. It's a combination of Zero and PCF. And they do a great marketing job. So the level of awareness for prostate cancer in the UK is way, way higher. And why is the gambling company going to them? Because that's their market. Have we gone to gambling companies and asked for them for money? No, we haven't. And we may start working with this gent to find out they happen to own one of the big gambling companies in this country as well. When he's done with his treatment, we'll be talking to him. So there are other funders. No question, Hank, but I don't think it's the insurance companies.
The dots that I was connecting was down the veterans leg, specifically the connect of the work that AnCan does with veterans and those companies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll chew on it a little bit.
Again, the insurance.
I'm feeling your pain, so I'll chew on it.
In the vets. The insurance companies aren't interested. Why? Because the vets have the VA and the vets have TRICARE. That's
right,
where
which means the insurance companies don't have a dog in the fight, except everyone likes to love a vet.
Well,
and then they can wave that flag.
We hope so. We hope so.
But I like your idea. Think more broadly than beyond the farmer. It's just a question of who and where.
The only reason I was thinking that way, Rick, is because it sounds from the way you've described it that the pharma guys aren't going to change their mind quickly. So it's either continue to beat on their doors or look for a different door to beat on.
Well, I think we have another way to go, but at this point, we'll turn the recording off.
Okay, here. Let me Okay, folks, I thank you very much for listening. This is Jim Marshall, and this is the AnCan Foundation Veteran Support Group. And to contact me, it's at veterans@ancan.org. Great, and we have a nice night.